Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Mama happy for my returning homies. Guys, thank you for the love and the support. To the new subbies, welcome to the homies gang, and I hope you love it here and you keep to it and you learn one or two or three things from us. So today I'll be going over on how to protect your kids from sexual molesters, measures that as a parent that you can take and be aware of in keeping your children safe. So guys, this is based on studies, the stats that I'm gonna go over, but it said that 1 out of 6 boys and 1 out of 4 girls get molested by the time they're 18 years of age. 90% of children who are sexually abused, they actually know their abusers, and 60% of child victims are sexually abused by people that the family trusts. Nearly 40% of child victims are abused by older and more powerful children. So number one, guys, talk to your kids about sex early on, and talk to your kids about sex as often as you can from an early age. Refer to private parts with their proper names. A vagina is a vagina, a penis is a penis. Refer to it with their proper names. Let them know the differences. When we talk about sexes and sexuality, let them know what is different from them and a young girl, and it's not something that one should be embarrassed about, or it's a laughing matter or anything like that. They need to be aware of those things. They need to be aware that for one to be identified as a boy, for you to be identified as a boy is because you have a penis, and for a young girl to be identified as a girl is because they have a vagina. And this is the differences between the two private parts. They need to be aware of this and know this from as early as possible. You can start off this conversation with them from the time they're 4 years old, making them aware of their private parts, naming them correctly, and the identification between a girl and a boy, how it's seen. So, and also know the difference between privacy and secrecy. Privacy is something that you do on your own, but mommy and daddy knows about it. Secrecy is something that you do, but mommy and daddy are unaware of it and they don't know about it. So I always tell my kids, I cannot protect them from what I do not know. So meaning secrecy is not allowed in our home. So currently I'm living with my 2 boys. They're aged 11 this year and the other one is 7 years old. So initially they were sharing a bedroom, but now the 11-year-old decided to move out of the room and wants his privacy in his own room. We understand that. We spoke about it, we talked about it, and we also spoke to the younger brother that, you know what, when you go to your brother's room, you need to knock as well. He must do the same thing. So respect each other's boundaries, respect each other's privacies. But it's not a secret, it is privacy, and I respect that as well. Me being in my house and everything, I know, like, he gave me his reasons why he wants to not to share a room anymore, and it's okay. It's nothing to even be embarrassed about, and such conversations should be open. We should not try and hide them and create some secrecy around them. And I always tell them, guys, you need to be open with me. We need to always talk about these things so that I can protect you. The thing is, I cannot protect you from what I do not know. That's what I always tell them. So secrecy in my house is not allowed, but privacy, yes, it's allowed. Another important thing, guys, you must teach your kids about arousal. It might be so uncomfortable for parents to talk about this, but explain to kids why they get a certain feeling when they touched on certain parts of their bodies, when they get to see certain videos or pictures, why they tend to feel how they feel. It's not something to be embarrassed about. It's not something to be shameful about. Also take note, this is what molesters use. So if your child is unaware of how their body might react to being touched in a certain way or touched on their private parts, if a molester comes and does that to them, they will feel good. Arousal feels good. It's not something to be embarrassed about. It feels good. It's a reflex that your body gives to how it's being touched and whatnot. So if a molester comes and touches your child in certain areas and then they are not aware of this and it feels good to them, they might feel embarrassed to come and discuss this with you because of the feeling that they got by feeling good. Again, the molester can use that against them and say, you felt good when I touched you in this way. So if you go out and tell them, I'm going to tell them that you felt good, you reacted in this way, and no one will believe you, or you felt that way because of the love between me and you. It shows how much we love one another. That can end up confusing a child into believing that because this person touched them in this certain way and their bodies gave it's a natural reflex. It gave that natural reflex of feeling good, then it means they are indeed in love with this person, and it's something to be embarrassed about, whereas it's not. So talk to your kids about the natural reflexes that our bodies give off when we see certain images, when we get touched in a certain way. Make them aware as well that no one is allowed to touch them like that beside themselves. No one must kiss you when you don't want to be kissed, hug you, touch you on your private parts, touch you on your thighs, touch you on your chest, touch your lips, touch your mouth. That is not allowed. And point number 3, your kids are never too old to talk about sex and sexual abuse. So if maybe you're sitting down, you feel like it's too late, maybe your young one is 16 years old or 14 or whatsoever, it's never too late to talk about these things. I was molested at the age of 14. One could have easily sat down and said, there's no need for us to have the sex talks. They've most probably covered the topic at school and whatnot. So I would say, as parents, let us not rely on having schools to teach our kids. Let us go out of our way and teach our kids as well. So don't always assume that the education system will do it for you. Do it yourself as well. Create that environment in the house where it's safe to talk about sex and it's not a taboo thing between you and your kids. You get to talk about those things and they don't end up feeling like it's a taboo topic in the house. It's something to feel embarrassed about. You can't talk about it. No, it's something that's natural and we need to be open to talking about it. Another thing to take note of, looking at my notes, guys, in case you see me looking sideways, nearly 40% of kids are abused by older children as well. So over the years, it has been shown, and it has also increased from 40 to 50%, that other kids are actually molesting other children. And porn, for example, is something that one can blame for that. Why? Because now these kids go off to watch porn, and it's so easy to access pornography now because of the technology that our kids are exposed to. They have cell phones, they have tablets, and the website is just there. They can easily access anything from it. So another thing as well, as a parent, you should have have the Google parenting on your kids' things, just so you are aware of the sites that your kids are visiting, so you can avoid them being exposed to such things and getting access to pornographic videos, images. Because at the end of the day, when a child gets exposed to such things and their hormones are raging and they do not know how to contain and control their hormones, they end up testing what they saw from this porn sites on other children, which, because the other child did not consent to this, it's abuse. Anything that you do not consent to, it's abuse, Another thing, pay attention to who your kids are spending time with. In all honesty, we cannot isolate our kids forever. We cannot keep our kids in a bubble forever. But it's so important to know who your kids are hanging out with. When they come back from home, make it a habit that you ask them about their day, how it was, who they were out with, who were they hanging out with, what they were up to. And also, you come home and share your day as well with your kids. Let them know how it was at work. If there's something that you didn't like that happened, share with them. Tell them that, this happened at work, this particular person did 1 2 3 4 5. They might not be able to comprehend, but because you're creating that environment at home, that we not only discuss good things, we also come and discuss what we didn't like in our day, so that whenever, if they end up being molested or someone making such movements towards them, they can easily come home and discuss those things with you. They can easily come home and say, you know what, Mama, today I didn't really have a good day because someone made me uncomfortable by doing this and this and this and that. So in that way, you also as a parent get to keep tabs on what's happening in your kid's life, and you are aware. Number 5, know that the stranger danger thing, guys, it's not always the case. Like I've said, most molesters, we know them. They are amongst us. Our kids know them. I knew my molester from church. It was it was not a total stranger. So the thing is, we have grown with this thing that don't talk to strangers, strangers are this, strangers are that, being forced upon us. But in reality, 90% of people who are abused by people they know. So it's not always the case of it's a stranger. No. So we need to be aware of our surroundings, be aware of the people we invite in our homes, the people we allow our kids to be around. Don't be naive and think, because these people know you, they will not be of any harm to your kids. That is the most naive thing ever. Most molesters are known to the families, are known to their victims. So always be aware, of your surroundings, who you bring in your space, and just don't be that naive parent to think that anything bad that is going to happen in your house or in your home will be a result of a stranger out there. Not everything will be because of a stranger out there. The lighting thing, guys, it's load shedding, so we're waiting for the generator to obviously kick in. Number 6, educate yourself on the signs of child abuse. Oh my word, this is a very, very important part, because I also feel like in my time I exhibited signs that if someone was paying attention would obviously pick on them and know that something is not right here. Something's not right with this kid. They most probably reacting to something. So Okay, there aren't always specific physical signs because remember, trauma manifests itself differently to everyone. No? But focus on the extreme things. For example, there's an extreme reaction to something. I remember once in high school, we were on this topic of I think it was I can't really remember if it was, as I was saying, we were on a topic of it had something to do with dating, sexual abuse, and whatnot. And one of the learners actually said in class was like, "But ma'am, other kids love these things, and then they end up acting like they don't like it." Woo! There was this girl who lost it. Like she literally stood on the table, banged the table, and was like, "That's not always the case. Um, things happen, and you cannot sit down and say people like it." I immediately, because I myself I'm I'm a victim of sexual molestation, I immediately knew where she was coming from. I did not react in that way, but what that other learner said, it it killed something inside of me. But the way she reacted, I was like, she definitely has a story to tell. I remember I spoke to her after school in hostel. Like I said, I was in boarding school. So I spoke to her afterwards, and she opened up about her story, how they were coming from a New Year's Eve bash party with her cousins, and three guys came by. Unfortunately, they started running away. She was wearing tight jeans, and it was raining at the time, so she couldn't run as fast as the other cousins ran. So those three guys ended up catching her, and they all took turns in raping her. I didn't share my story with her at that time because um, she opened up the way she cried and everything. I was just there to comfort her, and that's exactly what I did. But like I said, be aware of extreme reactions to things. That's also another sign that this kid has been molested. Another example is sudden change in appearance, like they let their hair grow out, gaining weight, wearing baggy clothes, dabbling again in substance, like abusing substances. So it's a way of trying to look unattractive to your abuser. So they also trying to hide pain that they feeling. And another one, in smaller kids, they tend to smear their feces on the walls, on them. And this is a way of, like, psychologically, it's saying to them, if I obviously smell bad, my molester will not come to me. So they creating a barrier, um, physically, so that if you smell bad, if this is happening, your molester will keep away from you. Isolating yourself from your family and your friends, fighting with everybody, for no reason. You tend to have anger. Like I said, I started fighting my parents more, especially my mother. So I had so much anger towards him. You tend to lose interest in what you love. I'm someone who's artistic. I love art. Even now in my house, I love paintings, I love pictures. I like to put pictures up, like family photos up in my home. I love art. So back then I used to draw anything from my face, look at myself in the mirror and draw myself. So when such things happen and when you've been violated like this, you tend to lose interest in things that you had interest in, your self-esteem goes down. So in my case, I started mimicking my cousin. So I would talk like her, I would act like her, you know, and it was a way of me trying to run away from myself, you know, like I no longer wanted me. I no longer wanted myself. Somehow I thought if maybe I can be like someone else, yeah, be like someone else, I will obviously not be wanted. Something must be wrong with me, you know, for this person to have chosen me and went after me. So I need to run away from me. Guys, point number 7, I'm almost done. Know the 3 words to say if your child comes to you and say they've been molested. And those 3 words is I believe you. And from there on, seek counseling from professionals, because they will know how to get information that they need. And why am I saying this? Because now as a parent, you also had, you know, and you might ask questions that make this child to relive the trauma, and which might end up shutting them all together, and that's not what you want. So counseling, there's free counseling that people can get, because I know one might sit down and say, but what if you don't have the finances for counseling and whatnot. In public clinics, there are counselors there. You can go and get information on when those counselors are coming in and whatnot. Police stations, you can understand if there's a counselor close by that you can get. There are free counseling agencies out there, government counseling facilities that one can get a hold of. And if I get information on that, I will go out of my way to look for that. I will come back and share it with you guys on where one can get help that is free, and in case you don't have a medical aid or finances to get that help, like to actually pay for it. And last but not least, it's not always that adults are right. And I know as Africans, we get to be taught that as an adult is always right. That is not the case. In my case, guys, at the age of 14, my molester was not 14 as me. And I can definitely and certainly say he was not even 18 years of age. He was much older than that, if not mid-20s, late 20s. I did not know his age, but by just looking at him, I could tell that he's much older. And I trusted him again because he's older. And not only that, he's a priest's son and whatnot. But that turned out to be my molester. So it's not always that an adult is right. If an adult is doing something wrong, say no. If you are feeling uncomfortable with what they are doing, let them know. So do not sit down with that thing that adults are always right. No, I was violated by an adult. So that's not always the case. Thank you guys for watching today's video. As I was saying, thank you guys for watching today's video. I hope you got 1 or 2 or 3 things from the video that will be useful to you going forward, and that you can apply in your lives. And, you know, take care. Look after your kids and be aware of what's happening in your children's life. Always remember, guys, do not get too busy for your kids. I know this life, you know, one can get so busy and comfortable around it. So try to make time for your kids, just to sit and talk. Be active in your kids' lives as well. Do not allow yourself to be swamped by the business of this world, you know, the rat race, chasing for money, chasing for that, chasing for this. Understand that what God has entrusted you on this earth as well is your responsibility to look after it and take care of it to the best of your capabilities. And know that as a parent, you are also doing, if you really are, you are working on the basis of what you know. So it's also important for us to go out of our way to learn more, so we can do better and be better parents. Thank you guys for watching. Until my next upload, see you then.